Some horror endings leave us shaken because someone survives. A final girl, a last witness, one person left standing to carry the memory of what happened. But some horror movies do something colder than that. They leave no one, no rescue, no escape, no voice left to explain what happened after the screen goes dark. That kind of ending feels different. Not just sad, not just brutal, final. Because once the last survivor is gone, the story does not feel like a nightmare someone endured. It feels like a world that has been completely claimed by it. And that is what makes no survivor horror so disturbing. It does not only show us fear, it erases the comforting idea that fear can be outlived. Spoilers ahead. Most horror stories begin by giving us something to hold on to. A group of people, a temporary shelter, a locked door, a belief that if they stay calm, stay smart, and stay together, someone might make it out. That hope matters. It is what keeps the story tense. We watch people hide, listen, wait, and try to outlast whatever is outside. And for a while, it feels possible. Not safe, but possible. The characters are frightened, but they are still making choices, still trying to survive, still behaving like people who believe morning might come, and they might still be there to see it. That fragile hope is important because the more a story gives us something to believe in, the more cruel it feels when it takes it away. Then comes the plan. Someone studies the map. Someone suggests a route. Someone believes there is still a way through this. That moment appears in so many horror stories because planning feels human. It is how we push back against chaos. We count supplies. We measure distance. We look for exits. We tell ourselves that if we are careful enough, fast enough, smart enough, then maybe horror can still be managed. And for a moment, planning creates the illusion of control. That illusion is powerful because when a horror movie ends with no survivors, it often means the plan was never enough. Not because the characters were foolish, not because they did not try, but because the thing they were facing was always larger than effort, larger than intelligence, larger than hope. You can feel that in The Cabin in the Woods, where survival is not only about escaping monsters, it is about discovering that the entire situation was designed to make escape almost meaningless. The characters are not just trapped in a nightmare, they are trapped inside a system that was built to use them. And that makes the ending feel even colder because the horror is bigger than the cabin, bigger than the monsters, bigger than any one person's chance of making it out. There is a particular kind of dread that appears when the danger is no longer distant. You can see it now, not as a rumor, not as a sound down the street, but as something approaching, something real, something closing the distance. That is when no survivor horror starts tightening the walls. The house no longer feels protective. The group no longer feels strong enough. The outside world starts pressing inward, and the audience begins to feel a quiet shift. Not just how will they get out, but what if they don't? That is the moment horror changes shape. Hope is still present, but it is weaker now. The exits are narrowing, the silence is heavier, and every decision makes it feel like it may only delay what is coming. Eventually, the shelter fails, the plan collapses, and survival becomes movement, running, turning corners, trying not to fall, trying not to be last. This is where horror strips away strategy and leaves only instinct. There is no time to think, only time to react. And in stories with no survivors, even that reaction begins to feel tragic, because the running is no longer just a fight for escape. It becomes a desperate refusal to accept what the story may already know, that no one is getting out. The characters still run because people run. People cling to life. People keep moving even when hope is breaking apart. And maybe that is part of what hurts. They do not stop trying. The ending does not feel hopeless because they gave up. It feels hopeless because they didn't. Then horror becomes smaller again, more intimate, more personal. Not a crowd, not a chase, just one frightened person and the terrible realization that the barrier between them and what is outside may not hold. This kind of moment is often where the emotional truth of a no survivor ending lands. Because now survival is no longer an idea shared by the group. It is just one person alone with fear. No backup, no rescue, no guarantee that anyone else is even still alive. And the audience begins to feel the ending before it fully arrives. Not because we have seen the death, but because we understand the isolation. The movie has removed every layer of protection. All that remains is terror and waiting. And sometimes waiting is worse, because waiting gives you time to understand exactly what kind of ending this story is moving towards. Then comes one of the coldest images horror can give us. Not the attack, not the scream, not the final struggle, but the aftermath. The empty room, the abandoned shelter, the silence left behind after people are gone. That emptiness can be more disturbing than violence, because it tells us what the movie has decided. No one made it. There is no final witness. No one left to crawl out at sunrise. No one left to explain what happened here. The room remains. The furniture remains. The signs of fear remain, but the people do not. And that absence lingers. It makes the ending feel less like a climax and more like an erasure, as though the horror did not simply win, it cleared the board. That is why movies with no survivors stay with us. They deny us one of horror's oldest comforts, the comfort of continuation. Even in dark stories, we often expect someone to remain, someone wounded, someone traumatized, someone forever changed. But someone, a no survivor ending, refuses that. In Sunshine, the mission becomes bigger than any one person living to tell the story. The characters are not fighting to survive in the usual sense. They are fighting to complete something that may require them to disappear. That kind of ending has a different weight because survival is replaced by sacrifice. The body does not make it home, the story does. In The Cabin in the Woods, the ending becomes even darker. The choice is not simply whether one person survives. It is whether the whole world deserves to keep going under the rules that created the nightmare. That is what no survivor horror can do when it hits hard. It does not just kill characters. It questions the comfort of an ending where someone escapes. Sometimes the evil was stronger. Sometimes the system failed. Sometimes the plan failed. And sometimes the world goes on without the people we were hoping would make it. That kind of ending feels especially haunting because it leaves the horror behind to occupy the silence. The street remains. The houses remain. The night remains. But the people are gone. And maybe that is the deepest fear underneath these endings. Not only that we might die, but that the story would continue without us. That terror would not even need a witness. That once the last person is gone, the nightmare would no longer feel interrupted. It would just feel complete. This is the Quiet Unease. Stay safe until we meet again.